Hello everybody, this is the pre-departure information for students in the Pixels in Poland Dialogue for Civilization. I'm going to go ahead and step through all of these slides and give you the info, and then we will have time to ask and answer questions about this when we get together and meet next Friday. All right, so what is the purpose of this trip? To give you an international perspective on game design, to give you a chance to do in-country personal research on the topic of your games, and to provide you with local collaboration while you do that. What are the program goals and expectations? The first goal is for you to learn about game development and game studies from local students and professionals. Goal 2, to explore Warsaw and Poland and relate your experiences there to the games we design. Goal 3, to cover the academic material for courses 2950 and 4600, which are game studio and game production. There we go. And to do that through practical game development. What expectations do we have of you? That you take personal travel responsibility. You're going to have our support in this process, but you're expected to behave maturely as you travel through the countries that we are in. What is the second expectation? Cultural awareness. You're not in Kansas anymore, and we want you to be aware of and act appropriately in the cultures that you're in. Expectation 3 is that you take academic responsibility. We're there to have fun, but we're also there to work. This is a studio trip, and we're going to be producing games. We're going to be doing that 8 hours a day in a professional environment. You probably have never worked in that kind of situation before, though possibly if you've been on co-op, you will have. This could be intense for you, but you're going to be supported. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to go to locations and do different cultural experiences, but we're also going to spend a lot of time in studio doing work. What are the courses? 2950 Game Studio. The objectives in that course are to learn the process of studio development. That course, when offered at Northeastern, works on all together on a single game in a large studio situation. This is going to be a little different in that you're going to be working in small teams, but this is going to be much more concentrated, 4-week-long sprints with collaboration from local partners. You're going to be collaborating with a diverse team of students from Poland and the US under the advisement of developers from professional game studios. You're going to learn to plan and execute a complicated project in a full-time studio environment over a short period of time. Coursework is going to involve in-class lectures each day, short, an hour or less. Mostly will consist of professional or studio development time, where you're actually working on your games with your teams. You should have teams of about 5 Northeastern students and about 5 Polish students, and every week you're going to be getting professional reviews from developers from different studios in Poland. CD Projekt Red, Bloober Team, 11-Bit, Techland are all people who you'll be interacting with there. And then second course is Game 4600, Game Production. The objectives there are to learn what comes after prototyping games and doing concept development on games. This is a production course. You're going to be grinding through the process of actually making game content, bringing it up to a level of polish that it can be released at. You should learn to plan a full-time game production schedule, what that actually looks like, and to scope for delivery. We only have 4 weeks, so we can't make a whole game. We're going to be making short experiences. You're going to be scoping your work to be able to get things done in that time. What's the coursework for this one? Practical game development, practical game development, practical game development, right? All of the credits here, you're going to earn them the hard way through spending hours and hours and hours in Engine building these games. Okay, academic deadlines and grading. You're going to have daily assignments, usually just relating to the lectures. That's going to be pretty light for you. You're going to have weekly sprint deadlines where you'll be building out the work your team's going to take on for each sprint, and then you're going to be responsible for delivering that at the end of the sprint. And then your big deliverable at the end of the 4 weeks is going to be the executable games that we'll be showing at the Gamescom conference. Incidentally, the buildings in the background there are the Polish-Japanese Games Institute, where you'll be actually doing the work on your games. Okay, program locations and itinerary. So we're going to start out in Warsaw, Poland. You'll arrive at the airport there. We're going to be, more on this later, but staying at the University of Warsaw and then working at the Polish-Japanese Games Institute in Poland, visiting a bunch of different locations while we're in Warsaw, but all around the city. We're going to be entirely in and around Warsaw. Then we'll be taking a train to Prague, which is in the Czech Republic, or Czechia, and we'll be mostly seeing the sites there for a couple of days on our way to Cologne. We'll continue on train to Cologne, where we will be for a week. The first couple of days there will be at the Gamescom conference, at the DevCom conference, which is like GDC, but a bit smaller and in Europe. You will be there on scholarship and working with the other scholars that are there under that circumstance. Then we'll be presenting the game at the Gamescom conference, which is 250,000 person conference, and we will have a booth there. Itinerary is 4 weeks in Poland, a week traveling and in Prague, and a week in Cologne. So it's a full day between Warsaw and Prague, a couple days in Prague, and then a full day to Cologne, and then the rest of the time there. Poland, facts and current events and stuff in Poland. So that's pictures of some of the modern part of the city in Poland. Poland is a modern city. I find it quite like Boston, actually. Weather there tends to be cooler than it will be in Germany. Lots of overcast, drizzle, rain kind of things. Like, again, pretty Boston-like. When I was there about the same time as you will be last year, I did put on a light jacket a number of times because it was drizzly and rainy, but there should be some nice weather as well. That's for Poland. In Prague, it's going to be a bit warmer, and then in Germany, in Cologne, it's likely to be quite warm while we're there. Fortunately, you're not going to have to be doing game development work if it's sweltering. But in all the places we're going to be, we're unlikely to have air conditioning in our rooms. So that may be a change for some of you. It could be quite warm in Cologne, but open windows and get fans, and we'll make it through that part. Let's see, local customs. These are all tourist-friendly locations, even Warsaw. Mostly people speaking English, mostly people, being familiar with tourists being around. So that's pretty fine. You are going to want to be aware of local tipping customs and local customs for like ordering in restaurants. In the sense that in the U.S. we're used to having waiters come over and be very attentive, and in most countries that we're going to be in, the waiters will stay out of our way, and so it's not being rude to be like, hey, please come help me. That is the way that it works. But again, you aren't going to be alone. You'll have travel buddies and the faculty and program assistant to help you through all of that stuff. Safety and safety rating, level 1 for Warsaw and everywhere else we're going. So that's normal precautions. You are traveling internationally. You want to be aware of your surroundings and, aware of, minor local crime possibilities. Pickpockets are a real thing. But these are safe, very normal places to be. I was entirely comfortable there and never felt unsafe at any point in any of the countries we were in when I, traced the route that we're going to be going last year. So should be all very comfortable, lovely places to visit. The food there, delicious. So yeah, there's a wide variety of different food. I would say in Warsaw, they're less, say, vegan aware. You're going to have to ask questions about that, and they won't necessarily know what is you mean by that, or have options that are pre-marked on menus like we might be used to here. Vegetarian, more aware. Certainly those kinds of food are all available. You just have to think about what would be vegan. They may not have something specially prepared for you. We will have the ability to cook In Warsaw, you'll have kitchens available in your accommodations, so you'll be able to cook yourself if you so choose. Politics, all democratic countries, but complex politics. Largely maybe avoid political conversations and strong political opinions while you're there. We are guests, but I felt very comfortable politically in all of these places. All the places are supportive of a diverse group of people, and there are LGBT communities in all of the countries we'll be in, more so in Prague and Germany than in Warsaw, but it is definitely a friendly place and a ever more diverse place. So, and again, you're going to be with friends the whole time. All right, language, basic language skills: Polish, Czech, and German. Duolingo might give you a start on these. Polish and Czech are really rough language sets to try to wrap your head around. German is easier, but English is spoken in all of the cities that we'll be in. And I had no trouble communicating in all of those countries, though I don't have, any language there beyond polite phrases. Learning how to say please and thank you goes a long way. Just saying please or thank you, they're very quickly going to realize when you do that you don't have the language skills, but be pleased that you're trying. So, you don't need to learn these languages for the trip, but a phrase book wouldn't go amiss. Differences to be aware of. Payment and tipping. Check these for each city we're in. Tipping is different in Germany, not so much with the tipping, more so in the other countries, but the amounts are different, and you should look those things up. We'll cover them with you, but it's also all readily available, and a good thing to get used to doing every time you move into a new country. Let's see. So I'm going to send the actual slides for this out, but we're going to be staying in dorm apartments at the University of Warsaw. The link here will actually link to that location in Google Slides, in Google Maps. So you should be able to look at our location. Expectations: behave as if you were in a Northeastern dorm. We are not partnered with University of Warsaw in terms of this program, but we are staying in their facilities, so we want to be respectful of them. You don't want to certainly do anything illegal in these spaces. You don't want to leave a mess in these spaces. We're guests. Behave as if we're guests. So maybe nicer than what you would do with your dorms, although I would hope you are treating those with kindness as well. Amenities: you're going to have private kitchen and bathroom. These are 2 to 3 person rooms while we are in Warsaw. If you go to Google Maps, there's a few pictures of the interiors and bathrooms and stuff. Looks like a pretty typical dorm space, but you have a nice little park outside. This actually is a picture of the outside of the dorm. Getting around: 30-minute bus ride to where we'll be in studio, 50-minute walk, 50-minute bike ride. There's also electric scooters for rent if you get the app for that, and bike lanes for riding them in. So that's probably the fastest way to get around if you're comfortable with it. Bikes are also available for rent through apps there, like the Boston ones, but much more ubiquitous. And when the weather's nice and we have time, walking is great. The walk from the dorms to the studio is through nice neighborhoods, and is pretty to do. So I'll probably be walking home most evenings and grabbing dinner on the way, that kind of thing. Who to call while you're there: both myself, professor, and our program assistant, Cleo, are going to be on site in the dorms. And I don't think we'll be necessarily on the same floor as you are, but we should be very nearby. So that should be comfortable and easy for you to get a hold of us. We're also going to be using Discord to communicate, and we're all required to have cell phones. I'll go over that later. So use those as needed. Visas and passports. Passports are required. You should have them by now. I think those are even required for your application. But if you don't, or you realize that yours is going to expire within 90 days of the start of the trip, then you'll need to get yours updated. So you have to have a valid passport but you have to have a valid passport for 90 days past the start of the trip. So if yours is going to expire, say, at the end of summer, you would need to have a new one before you go. No visas are required at this time. There was going to be a visa requirement for the EU, but that got delayed to 2025, so we don't have to worry about it. So that should be fine. Packing, what to bring. You need to bring clothes. Don't overpack. Do bring a light coat and umbrella. Germany's going to be hot, so you probably do want to bring shorts and t-shirts for that part of the world. You're going to need to do laundry, so don't pack 6 weeks worth of clothing. That's out of control. Pack a week's worth of clothing and plan to do laundry regularly while we're there. Bringing laptops you can develop on is great. It would be good for us to have those. And then you need to have a cellular phone plan. So you could bring the cellular phone plan that you already have with an international plan, and that would be fine. What not to bring? Really valuable items, right? Don't bring, expensive jewelry. Don't bring extra electronics that you don't need for the trip. And don't bring too many things, right? Just pack lightly. You're going to be busy. You're going to be moving. You don't need to bring a library with you. You don't need to bring 6 portable video game consoles with you. You don't need to bring your PlayStation 5 with you, right? This is a trip. We're traveling. Pack as lightly as you can. Things to buy in country. If you want toiletries that are in more than 3-ounce packages, and since we're going to be there for a month, you probably do. Believe it or not, they have shampoo in Poland. So, you can stop by a pharmacy or grocery store there and pick up toiletries. We'll probably take a little group trip to do that kind of thing once we get there. Also, you can buy a cell phone plan in country. Those are available via SIM cards. If you have a phone that isn't eSIM only, then you can pick one of those up at the airport. Is the easiest place to do it. Can also be done online, but you want to do that before you leave the airport while you're still on the airport's Wi-Fi. Makes that easier. What you're responsible for, the dorms and stuff should have sheets and such, and they even should have towels. The hotels we're going to be in obviously have sheets and towels, but bringing your own towel is nice. I recommend doing that just so you aren't caught without. And then how to pack. We're going to be taking trains twice during the trip, so pack as lightly as you can. If you're bringing a suitcase, bring a roller suitcase so that it's easy to get around. Your luggage should be something that you can handle on your own, right? We're not going to have porters and assistants carrying luggage for us. We're going to be carrying it ourselves. And while we do have an in-country partner that's going to help us moving from place to place, being able to be responsible for your own stuff is expected. Poland may be cool at times. Germany will be hot. So all of the weather is more moderate than the extremes we have here in Boston during the times of year that we're there. But, pack for varied, levels of temperature. I'll be bringing jeans and t-shirts, a couple of sweaters or sweatshirts, and a light jacket. Shorts for Germany. Comfortable pair of shoes. Please pack comfortable shoes. We're going to be doing a ton of walking in these cities just because that's an amazing and fun thing to do. That picture is not from our trip, nor is this one. Health and safety. So there aren't any Ferris wheels, so that isn't a safety concern. Country-specific laws and regulations. Check any medications you may be on to make sure that they're legal in the country. Some medications like stimulants and so on may be restricted. You want to make sure that what you have is okay to carry. And if you find a conflict, then contact us so we can work through the way to approach that with you. Probably not a problem for anyone, but I don't know what people's medical situations are, so you should check that. Communication plan in the event of emergency. I'm going to provide a cheat sheet. There's going to be some numbers later, but I want you all to have a list of all of those numbers that you can keep on you in hard copy, but then also those will be penned in our Discord so you can have access to them when needed. Safety concerns: water's drinkable in all the countries we're in. Travel in our countries are safe, but the world's changeable, and is a big place. So be aware and listen to what's going on around you. We'll be watching the news while we're there. Particularly in Prague, and in crowds in Prague, be cautious. Pickpockets are a real thing, and Prague is probably the place we'll be that are going to have the densest crowds and the most likely to run into trouble there. Although Cologne is a pretty busy touristy place as well. And it's really like crowded tourist locations where you're going to be most vulnerable to those kind of issues. Last year when I was traveling to a conference in Sevilla in Spain, I did get pickpocketed and had them take my wallet and passport and everything. Luckily, I got everything except for the cash back. But you do want to have secure way to carry things around, because that can happen. Shouldn't be a problem, but just you always want to keep an eye on it. Okay, money and currency. Each of the countries we're going to be going to has its own currency. Yay! It would be nice if they were all in the euro, but they're not. Warsaw has its own, or Poland has its own currency. Czech Republic has its own currency, and so does Germany. Germany is on the euro. Euro exchange rate is pretty much 1-to-1. The other currencies, there's a U.S. advantage. There are recommended amounts to bring. Having a few $100s in U.S. currency that you could exchange if necessary is a good idea. The last 2 times I've been over, I've brought a few $100s and not really had to use any of it. I've been able to get money from ATMs to exchange, but there's always a chance that you aren't able to do that, and having that cash to exchange at a currency exchange can be a good idea. Don't bring more than a couple hundred in cash, though. That's really not necessary, and it's just putting you at more risk for losing it. The nice thing with the cash is you can store it in one location, store your credit card in another location, store your phone in another location, and that way, if something happens and you do get pickpocketed, you have that fallback in all cases. Money amounts around $20 is a really nice meal in Warsaw. Prague and Cologne are a little bit more expensive, but they're still cheaper than Boston. Again, you're going to have the ability to buy and cook food in your dorm rooms if you don't want to eat out every meal. But the cost is low enough that that is something that you can do with a reasonable budget if cooking isn't something you're wanting to do. Although breakfasts and so on, that is probably something that you'd want to buy, cereal, croissant, that kind of thing at a store and eat. Coffee, right? But there are prevalent restaurants and places to get food there. Let's see. And then, of course, additional to that, if you're buying souvenirs and so on, you want to bring enough money to take care of that. Transportation money is all taken care of for us, although if you are wanting to travel around on your off days, then public transportation is going to be something you need to pay for yourself. Pretty inexpensive. Cheaper than Boston subway. How to access funds abroad. So there's some advantage to using currency exchange, particularly in Prague. Like you get a significantly better rate if you go and exchange cash there. But mostly you can get money through ATMs, and contactless, like tapping your phone payment, is pretty ubiquitous in everywhere we're going to be. So you shouldn't have a strong reason to not use that most of the time you need to spend your own money. You want to choose the remote currency, not the U.S. currency. Better exchange rate issues there, and you avoid some fees that can happen. Budgeting tips. There are sometimes ATM fees, so when you're doing that, make sure you look at that. And it may be like, oh, this very convenient ATM is actually charging me €10 or something to get money out of my bank. I should, go look for a different one. So just keep an eye on that. It's not generally a scam, but you could be surprised by an unexpected fee if you don't watch. Extracurricular activities. All right, so policy on nightlife. Don't go out alone, really, ever. You're halfway across the world and you're in a safe place, but still, it's more fun and safer to have a buddy. Warsaw is a great and safe place, but like Boston, there are places you could go there that might be less safe. So, check before you go. Check with your local friends that you're going to have through the Polish Japanese Institute. They're going to be like, oh yeah, you don't want to go down there. That's a sketchy neighborhood. Alcohol use. Step one: don't drink. Right. Drinking age is under 18 in the country. It is not illegal for you to drink, but this isn't the place for you to be experimenting with and learning about alcohol. This is a place we're going to be professionals, to work with our colleagues, and to produce games. This is not a party trip. All of that said, definitely don't drink alone. Don't go out by yourself and get a drink. That is just the way to get in trouble. Don't drink. Really don't drink alone. And really, really don't come to class hungover. Don't come to the studio hungover. That is, poor form. It looks bad for you. It looks bad for our class. It looks bad, for our country and behavior. Like, just don't do that. I expect that to be less of a concern for everyone in Warsaw. While we're actively working, we're going to be going through Prague. Prague has a problematic drinking culture. And is also the more dangerous place that you could go to be having alcohol while you're there. So you are likely to get mugged if you are staggering around the streets of Prague intoxicated. Please don't do that. Certainly don't do that alone. And just please don't be part of that culture in the couple of days we're there. Not worth it. There's way better things to be doing. Safety issues at night. These are real cities. They're safe cities. They're clean cities. Mostly, right? Like going out in Boston. It's pretty safe. I think that all the places we're going are safer than Boston. I'm more comfortable walking around those streets at night than Boston. That said, I don't know everything about the cities and the cultures, so don't go out alone. Buddy system is a real thing. Always, always use that, and you'll be fine. If you are in any way uncomfortable, then don't do a thing, right? Don't go to a place. Don't meet somebody somewhere if it seems unsafe to you. Trust your instincts on that, and always have a friend with you. Again, very safe cities, but certainly possible you could get yourself into trouble if you try. Let's see. We have a lot of group activities planned. When you are on your own and you're going out on your day off to go to a museum or wherever you're going, let me know. Let the program assistant know. That way, if something happens and we need to come and step in and help you out, we know where you are. We're not surprised by the fact that you've, hopped on a train and gone to another country or something. That's not something you want to do. So don't do that, and tell us where you are going to be at, and then we'll know. Okay, so connecting, social media use. We're going to be using Discord to interact over there, keeping all of our communications in one place. If you want to have team and friend group channels, we can set that up. If you want us to stay out of team and friend group channels, we can do that. But if we can keep communication all in one place, if we have to go in and look at a channel to see where you are or where you and your friend group were last seen, having that all in one place is a good idea. Certainly for all official communication, keep it there. And I recommend that you keep personal communications there as well, so it's all accessible, so we can keep track of you all should something come up. Expectations: you have to have a cell plan when you're in country so we can reach you. You may need to do this in each country. There are some cell carriers. Orange is one that theoretically has plans across all of the countries. I had difficulty getting my plan from Germany to work when I was in Chechnya and in Prague, and ended up getting a new plan in each country I went to. Unlimited data plans, though, are quite cheap there. So, that is a reasonable way to do it. You might need to re-up your plan each week while you're there, because you're going to be getting temporary prepaid cards if you go that route, because the shortest plans they have are like 3 months, and we don't need that much and are more expensive. So cheaper to buy it weekly unlimited, or buy data amount and then re-up it when necessary. It's not hard to do, and we'll walk you through it as needed. But you may have a local carrier in the US that provides an international plan that you can use, and that's fine. There's a lot of public Wi-Fi in most places. It's usually safe. You want to be careful. If you're just wandering around, to a cafe or whatever, safest policy, don't use random Wi-Fi you don't know. But if you're at a cafe and you're like, hey, waiter, is this the local Wi-Fi that you're providing for free? And if the waiter says yes, it is, then you're probably good to use that kind of thing. Also, public places like museums, airports, train stations will have Wi-Fi. You can check to make sure that really is the real Wi-Fi before you use it. And if you're unsure about something, don't do it. Okay, let's see. So Northeastern Code of Conduct. You're still bound by the Northeastern University Code of Conduct while abroad. So all of the rules you need to abide by while you're at Northeastern, that is the minimum requirements for how you behave while you're on this trip. Program-specific things. Always follow the instructions of the faculty and PA. That's not negotiable. We're not trying to boss you around. If we're telling you to do something, it's for your own safety and well-being. You have to follow our instructions at all times. Be respectful of each other. Defer to your Polish colleagues. They know the local customs. If you're out with a Polish colleague and they instruct you to do something, if they're instructing you to do something that you think is unsafe, obviously don't do that. But if they're giving you cultural advice, follow their advice. They know the details of the culture in a way that you're not going to, and they're going to be trying to guide you to being respectful and appropriate. Be respectful of the local culture, regardless to whether or not you agree with it. We're going to be visiting various religious and cultural sites that have rules. You need to follow those rules or opt out of those activities. For instance, dressing more conservatively when visiting Catholic churches is often a thing. I think I'll be taking a trip to the Jewish cemetery in Warsaw, which is a stunning and beautiful place. You're expected to cover your head with a yarmulke in respect to that faith. So, you would be needed to do that if you go. And if you aren't going to be comfortable doing that, then you need to let us know and opt out of those activities because those cultural behaviors are required. Shouldn't be a problem, but so Let's see. University requirements, university cell phone activity requirements. You're required to have a cell plan. A cell plan, you can buy a SIM card in the airport in general, or you can buy one online before the trip, and then activate it in the airport before you leave the Wi-Fi there. If you're not using a international plan through your local carrier. Often the international plans are data limited and really expensive compared to getting a SIM locally. Last few times I've traveled, I've done local SIM cards and had good luck with that. Let's see. So complete your my travel plans. So follow the steps below. Ask for help if there's anything you aren't sure of or you're having trouble doing that. It involves travel registry stuff. This is all required by Northeastern. Got to do it. Garda World and emergency contacts. Those, again, are going to be provided on a cheat sheet for you. And these are safety things that we're providing as Northeastern. Global Safety and Support Network. All the information here is provided by Northeastern. So this is the phone number that you'll call. Notifies and reports relevant contacts at Northeastern. For medical and hospital referrals, emergency evacuation services, lost passport, right? This is going to handle all of these things. We will also have, detailed instructions for you to follow there in order to make sure that everybody who needs to know knows about each of the things that happens, incident reports and so on. Probably won't come up. Hopefully won't be a problem. We have a plan in place in the cases where there is a problem. Emergency contact information for us. So this is myself and Cleo and our email addresses. Don't know what my in-country phone number will be until I get that SIM card either before the trip or when I arrive, but that will be provided. Again, all of this information is going to be penned in Discord as well as provided in hard copy for you. Pre-departure logistics. So plan for departure. You're going to fly over on your own. I'm going to provide suggested flights in an email to you. It says on the next slide, but actually in an email to you. Slide formatting just was terrible. And you'll be able to pick your own. You don't need to leave from Boston. You can leave from wherever you are. Arrival details. Share the details with us as soon as you have them when you purchase your tickets. We are going to want to be arriving on the day of arrival before 2 p.m. if possible. You may be taking a red eye, but most of the flights arrive before 2 p.m. and our in-country service provider is going to be providing transportation from the airport directly to your dorm at 2 o'clock or close there too. If you arrive later than that, public transportation is not difficult to get from the airport to the dorm, or taking a lift or whatever is possible in the case that you are arriving later. If we know you're arriving later, then that can be arranged for. And then, if you get lost at either arriving or on the way to the dorm or at any point during the trip, contact us and we'll come rescue you. I'm hoping that we don't need that. That you're all going to either develop the skills necessary to navigate around these spaces. It's not hard, and it's fun, but we're not going to abandon you. So if you get lost, don't be afraid to tell someone that you are, and we'll help you get found again. Okay, contingencies and considerations. So COVID stuff. Considerations around that are decreasing over time, and so we don't expect it to impact the travel, but if something should change, it could. If there's a horrible new variant or some new pandemic arises before the trip, the expectation, your health and safety is our top priority, and the trip's only going to move forward if it's safe for us to travel to the places that we're going in terms of health. Goal 2, regional stability. The war with the Ukraine doesn't currently threaten the trip or Poland. The world is a chaotic place, and that could possibly change. We don't expect that to happen, but our expectation is that your safety is our top concern. The trip is not going to move forward if we have any concerns about the war or the safety of being there. International partners. This is another risk. Our partnerships are all agreed to in terms of the studios we're partnering with and the Polish-Japanese Institute and the conferences we're attending. But institutions can have changes. And our trip is robust and, will continue regardless of those agreements with partners. We're able to accommodate a lot of different scenarios and changes, but we don't foresee any of that changing. Contingencies and considerations. If for whatever reason international travel can't continue via the pandemic, the trip could be conducted remotely from Boston. That'll certainly only be a last resort and isn't something I see likely as being a problem. If travel to the region became unsafe, then we would shift location, in the worst case shifting to Boston. In terms of arrival, everyone is expected to arrive at the beginning of the trip and at the beginning of the program. In the case of serious but temporary illness, it would be possible to participate remotely or join remotely. There's a form that has to be filled out so that we understand that's happening and that that's approved. That's through the GEO office. Hopefully that's not a problem, but you would communicate with us if that was going on. Participation in the 2 days of DevCom before the Gamescom conference is dependent on a scholarship program, and that scholarship program is still being finalized. We anticipate that you will all be there and be part of that, but in the case that that program was canceled or fell through, or wasn't applicable for some reason, then we would have alternate activities during those first 2 days in Cologne. The booth at Gamescom is locked in and booked and is definite. The ability to attend the DevCom conference before Gamescom, we have no reason to think it will be a problem, but to be transparent, we're still waiting for that to finalize because it's still end of summer, and the conference just hasn't finished that organizational step. And lastly, important reminders and next steps. Make sure you have your passports. Again, check the expiration date on the passport. If you got it a while ago, Some of you may still have passports that were only 5-year ones. If that's the case, be careful and see when it expires. Reminder too, we're going to be communicating via Discord this summer before the trip, and to work on preparing the games that we're going to be working on. That's not necessarily a required part of the trip, and it's going to happen remotely, through Discord. But it's going to be fun to start working on the games and finalizing those designs so that you can hit the ground running when we arrive. The more that you participate in the pre-production of those games via Discord this summer, the more agency you're going to have on what you're going to be working on when we do arrive. And reminder 3, this is all a lot of stuff, and some of it sounds kind of dire. Relax. I've done this kind of travel many, many times, starting from when I was 9. I've been over in Europe both summers for the last 2 summers, more than one time, and am very comfortable traveling in that environment. I'm very comfortable supporting you over there, so don't be too stressed. The travel part of this trip is going to be fun and easy, and we have support every step of the way. The game design part of this trip is going to challenge you in the best possible way. We're going to do amazing work, and it's going to be hard work. So I'm really looking forward to that part of the trip. All right. So lastly, faculty leader name. I guess I should have updated this. I'll put my info in on this slide for when I actually send you the link. All right. Hope this was informative, and I will see you all next week at the kickoff meeting, where you can ask questions about all the things that weren't covered in this deck. Look forward to the email. Well, in the email I send you with this presentation, there should also be a link to the detailed information on flights for you. And I will talk to you next week.